everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of I've Been Playing. Today we are talking about the Horizon Forbidden West DLC, Burning Shores. Now, I'm just going to say that I am going to not spoil things to the best of my ability. The footage I have is from the first hour at most, and the screenshots that I took as well. I have a lot of them. I will be avoiding the ones that are later game and that might give things away that haven't already been ruined by the internet because we're not allowed to have nice things. It does directly follow off from the main story of Forbidden West, though, so some spoilers for the end of that, I suppose, if you haven't gotten around to finishing it yet. It is quite a large game, so it's understandable if you haven't, but just be aware that it does follow off from you have to finish the game first, so you've got to know what the end of the game is. Now, me saying that is a little funny because I finished the game last year, and I honestly do not remember where the heck the story went. I know more or less. Like, I'm not saying I forget everything about it, but where specifically the story went at the end, and their mention of Nemesis, I was like, who? What? What's happening? I am not very good at remembering plot details of games a lot of the time. Essentially, Burning Shores is a reference to LA and the fact that it is now quite volcanic. It has broken apart. It is obviously run down, as is the state of most of the rest of the world in this game and these games, and finds Aloy going to destroyed LA in order to investigate a threat that is there, because apparently the Zeniths that were in the big final battle of the main game, again, obviously spoilers, but like I said, you have to have completed the main game first, so you should know. Not that I remember this super well, I remember the last boss fight, but the specifics I'm a little fuzzy on. But basically, it was a big fight with all the super rich assholes who left the Earth. Those are the Zeniths. They were fleeing from Nemesis, which is the next big threat, and presumably will be the threat in the third one, and we fought a bunch of them at the end of the main game, but Silence, RIP, has found another one in the Burning Shores and the threat of a possible giant metal devil, the giant horses, and Aloy goes to investigate it. And another Zenith that is apparently still alive is kind of there and doing bad things. I can't really get into the specifics of what he's doing because I think finding out is pretty much the main plot of the DLC, and I don't want to get too much into that because it's still fairly new. There will still be people who haven't played it, especially since this is exclusively on PS5, which I understand why people are annoyed that it doesn't come out or isn't coming out on PS4, but my god, the way this game looks, there's no way they could have made it look as good as it does if it was also on PS4. So, you know what? They're easier to come by now. I know they're still expensive, but I do not blame them for prioritizing PS5 at this point. So obviously, it's an extension of that whole story. There's a group of Quen who are shipwrecked there as well. The other half of, you meet some of them in the main game. It's presumably the other half or other quarter, however many of them there are, that got lost while they were sailing. You meet them, you meet a whole bunch of new characters, new friends and allies and people. They have their own situation going on, which kind of overlaps with the situation you're there to investigate in the first place. And that's the plot. Again, not gonna get into it. It's actually not too long a DLC if you don't do side stuff as you go. I don't think it took very long for me to complete. I want to say between 6 and 8 hours. I didn't keep track, but I know it wasn't very long. It's perhaps a little bit short, but believable, especially since it's a high-stress situation and emotions can run high. And yes, I am referring to something very specific there, but also in general, it is going to be an escalating situation. It was escalating before Aloy got there. The fact that Aloy got there instigates a lot of stuff, of course, but it was a problem that was happening before she got there, and probably would have escalated to that point more slowly, but would have escalated to that point whether she got there or not. In any case, that's the setup for the DLC. I think it links pretty well with the end of the game, and presumably with the third one whenever it comes out. It's rumored. I don't think it's actually been confirmed, has it? Or did they silently confirm it? I don't remember what the news was. I always thought it was going to be a trilogy anyway, it just kind of seemed like the thing that would happen, so it's not a surprise either way. I might have a different opinion on that if I had replayed the main story, and perhaps I should have so I could remember it a little more clearly, but I mean, I jumped into it with no problem. I was a little bit like, huh? At first, but I slowly started to remember the ending specifically. I think I wiped the final boss right from my mind because I did not like it very much, and it was a difficulty spike that seemed unnecessary, at least in my opinion, but pretty easy to get into. There is a new weapon you'll get eventually, actually several new weapons, but one specifically that's specific to the story of this DLC. I didn't use it all that much. I'm gonna have to use it if I want to clean up trophies, which I probably will do at some point if I can ever get rid of any significant portion of my backlog. It's pretty powerful, but I just didn't find myself using it very much. Again, there are new people you'll meet, new resources, new machines, things like that. Not an insane amount, but enough that well, I was gonna say you have to go searching for them, but that's not entirely true. I think they all show up in the main missions. And gameplay-wise, it feels as good as the original did, perhaps a little bit better. I did have a couple of strange glitches. This is the only footage I have that's anyway into the main story, but it shouldn't give anything away. There was one point where Seika is your main companion for the DLC, and both of the glitches that I had were related to her. The first one was I was trying to disable something and she was supposed to shoot it, and when I was opening it up for the thing to be shot, she just fully disappeared from the shot. Like, her bows were just hovering in midair and she was gone and nothing happened. Like, because she quote-unquote wasn't there, the game didn't have her do what she was supposed to, so I had to quit the game and re-enter, and then it was fine, so that's not a big deal. There's also one other that after a cutscene, she just like went across the screen, which was hilarious, and neither of these was game-breaking. I don't know if there are any game-breaking bugs in it, but those are the only two bugs I encountered that I can remember. Neither was a problem, and you know, that's a lot fewer than a lot of games have now, so I'll take it. The main takeaway I've gotten from this, which is probably not the takeaway that they necessarily wanted me to get, or maybe it was, at least partly, is that this game looks incredible. Absolutely incredible. I know the main game did as well, but again, the fact that this was made specifically for and focusing on PS5 and its hardware, holy crap, it looks really good. Like, I almost never use photo modes, not consistently. I'll kind of poke around in them and then just not do anything with them, but I took so many screenshots and there were multiple times where I just paused and looked at things, and there were so many times where I was just like, wow, is this a game? Like, seriously, it looks so good. The water looks absolutely incredible. Like, I don't think I've seen water look this nice ever in a game, perhaps, and almost rarely in real life. It looks really good. I'll try not to overload this video with screenshots, but genuinely, probably the best looking game I've ever seen. Best realistic looking game I've ever seen. There are other games that have very specific art styles that look quite nice, but this is something different, and it's just so nice to look at. In any case, if you enjoyed the base game and you're not a whiny bigot like all of the review bombers are, I think you'll really enjoy this. It looks really nice, it plays really well. There aren't any technical issues really that I saw other than the two things I said. Those aren't huge though. Like, they're manageable, they're not game-breaking, which is always nice, and I highly recommend it. I had a lot of fun. It was nice jumping back into the game, and it didn't take me long to get into it, so even if you don't remember the story very well, like me, because I'm bad at remembering things, even though it's only been a year, and you have a PS5, that's an important point as well. It's definitely worth checking out. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next episode.